Hi, welcome to my kitchen. Thanks for watching my videos. And this is my delicious meatball soup. This soup is just so delicious, so hearty. It's like my favorite soup, my top-notch favorite soup. The only thing missing here is my ground beef and my yuca, which is cassava, because I actually ran out of some stuff I had, so I sent someone to go get it. So here are the ingredients. What we're going to start off with first in our soup is we always put hot water to boil first. When that pot of hot water is done, we have an onion and a pepper, which I love to use in my soups. I love to flavor my water with onion and pepper, especially onion. It gives it so much flavor. So I have them clean and ready. And then the vegetables that I'm going to use for later on when the soup is ready are green beans. I'm using 2 carrots, which I'm cutting very thin. I'm using corn. This is fresh farmer corn. I buy them by bulk and I freeze them. I cut them frozen. They last for a while and they're so yummy because they're so fresh and crunchy. And then I have my plátano, which I am making my meatballs with. This is the main meatball thing. You cut your plátano and we're going to grate it really small and squish it, and that's going to go together with our meat. Then here is our beef bones. This soup, you could use like short ribs, kind of, or you could use good meat also, cut up in squares. But to me, I'm using beef bones right now because it gives it a more flavor. Plus, the meatballs will add more stuff, so it's like they'll have enough food in there. Then dry spices right here, I have about 1.5 tablespoons of garlic powder. And here I have a mix of adobo powder. It's about 1.5 tablespoons and some pepper mixed in there together, some fresh pepper. So then what I'm going to do, first of all, you're going to season your meat. So what I like to do is I'll just throw it on top. I washed this meat already. If you could leave this meat to rest, let's say 10 minutes or minimum, or half hour at least, that would be much better because then it gets a little marinated. But if not, you can add it right away to your boiling water, you know. So you just mix that in really well. Want to give it love. Also, don't forget your 1.5 teaspoons of salt. It's okay if it's a little salty right now because, you know, you're going to put in a big pot of water. The other thing you do is I took my cilantro, I broke it in half. Remember, it's just a handful. I'm throwing in the meat and I'm going to mix that around. Great, so you mix it up really well. So that's how I want it, with the cilantro leaves in there, because all that is going to boil. It's all going to melt in the soup. This soup, you know, it takes patience. I would say this is a like 1 to 2 hour soup because there's a few steps to it. But if you're patient and you take the time, this is the best darn soup ever. So another thing, as part of the soup, you need your Ecuadorian sofrito, which is also refrito, which is like our holy trinity Ecuadorian style, which is our base to many delicious dishes. So these are the ingredients: the 1 tomato, onion, pepper, cilantro, and sazon package, and some salt. So you should have that already done. So if you're watching this video, I'm going to post another video how to make the sofrito. You should watch it because when you're making the soup, you need this done already. Okay? So at this point, your water is boiling and you're going to add your onion and pepper. Remember that your onion, you cut it with one side like that intact, because when it boils, you want it to stay together, not be all over thrown around the soup. So remember, just for flavor, we're adding this and the pepper. So I'm going to leave that there for about 10 minutes, let it boil again, and then I'm going to add the meat. So we're going to add our meat to our boiling pot. So remember, you put your onion, your pepper, you let it boil, perfect. Now you're going to add your bones, your beef bones, and mix them in. It already smells good. The minute it hits, it just starts smelling good. Yum, look. So depending on the beef bone you use, depending how long you need this to boil. These are a little harder, so I would say I'm going to have this pot boiling for about 35 to 40 minutes before I start even adding any other stuff. So then after those 40 minutes are done is when we're going to take out this pepper and this onion. Alright, at that time, that's when we take that out because we don't need it anymore. It did what we already wanted it to be done. It's been about 20 minutes. Now, another thing that I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to add a little bit more water because it went down. I'm going to also taste it. Another thing, when you're cooking beef and you're making soups like this, you get this black film like here, right? That comes from like the meat bone. So what you do is you just scrape it. See that? You just scrape it. You clean that out and then you get rid of that. What I also do is sometimes I'll take a paper towel with my tongue and I'll just clean that up. I want that gone. Okay, so we're gonna clean that out of your pot. Don't worry about it. It's meat. It's really like, it's part of this thing. It's not gross, but you don't want it in your soup because then it becomes black and it stays little black spots in your soup. So make sure you clean that around your pot, okay? So it's been about 35 minutes, 40 minutes, really 40 minutes. I'm taking out this onion and pepper. Here's my onion, stood intact. Yay. Now depending on your beef bones, you might need to let it boil another half hour. But my meat is doing well. So I'm going to let it boil right now for another 10 minutes. And then I'm going to start adding, my vegetables, which are basically my yuca and my green beans are going to be the first. And remember my carrots, I like to microwave my carrots for about 5 minutes. Let them get rid of that yellow water, that juice that comes out, because I feel like carrots, when you put a lot in a soup, it makes the soup just become like a carrot soup, so that's not what I want. So I always add them at the end, kind of cooked. So we'll add the carrots at the end with the corn too. The corn is so fresh, it needs just a couple minutes. And then also our meatballs when our soup is almost done. So right now, I'm going to let it boil 10 more minutes, and then I'm going to start adding veggies. So here are the ingredients you're going to need for your meatballs, which is the ground beef. I have about a pound. The refrito, right here. And 1 plantain. Sometimes you might need 1 more or half more, but we'll see it. Like what I do is I always do 1 practice meatball. I boil it and I see how it tastes. So you're going to peel this plantain and you're going to use the smallest one. See? The smallest one. And you're going to grate it. Once that's grated, you're going to add your refrito. So I have one here already grated. You see? So that's it. So I mush it up a bit. I'm going to add my refrito. That's where like it gets most of the flavor. So good. So you mix that up. Also to that I'm going to add a little bit more salt. That should be fine. And I'm going to put my ground beef. So now you work that together. You work it together really nicely. If you want to use a glove, that's fine because it might make your hands a little red. So that's really up to you. There you go. Don't mind the background. I'm home with my babes and she is watching a movie. Alright, here we go. You see? So you keep working that. You work that. Great. So I did a taste test, which was I took 1 meatball, I formed it, I put in the soup to boil, and I tasted it. And you know what? I just remember it's actually 2 plantains for the 1 pound. So I'm going to do 1 more, okay? So it's 2 plantains for the 1 pound. And also, I tasted that it needed a little bit more salt. So this is what's always helpful, is that you always do 1 little meatball before you totally form them all so that you know that that meatball is perfect, okay? Great, so I did end up using 2 plantains for the pound. So this is how it should look, you see? Kind of pasty like this. You want to make sure that you blend in the plantain really well with the ground beef. So don't worry about overworking it because the plantain is what makes this meatball so tender. So you won't make it hard, trust me. The plantain will make it so moist. And another thing is, when you're making your meatballs, don't make them too big. This is like a good size, see? Because this is going to grow. So remember that because the plantain grows. So then if you make it this side, it might double up. So you don't want huge meatballs in the soup. So you start small. See that? You start small. Another thing, you're going to put this either in the freezer for 10 minutes or you're going to leave them in the refrigerator till you're ready to put them in your soup because it helps to set the meatball. So that way they don't all just crumble up and become like a huge bunch of just stuff in your soup. You want them to stay nicely firm and into that nice ball that you've done. So remember, freezer 10 minutes or keep them in the refrigerator, till you're ready. So we're going to end up coming out, I think about 40 meatballs come out of this. But I'll let you know. Alright? Alright. So now, you see your pot is boiling. That's where we're going to add our yuca. Yuca is cassava in English. They come in bags like this in the frozen now. Or you could use fresh yuca. It's really up to you. They really taste the same fresh or frozen. I sometimes prefer just frozen. It's faster for me. Another thing I do when the yuca is done it usually breaks in half, right? Look, I'll even break one in half right now. So you see in here, you see this little part right here, you're going to take that out when it's done. We don't want this. This is like the bone of the yuca. I always do is I take it out. Another thing I do is when the yuca is almost ready, I always remove my yuca. Because if you boil too much, it becomes nothing. And I don't want the cassava to become just a nothing. I want it to still stay very tender, but still firm, you know, like not too much breaking apart. So once it's done, I remove that little like vein. So I'm going to add it. I'm going to add on my cassava. Yum, yum, yum. And also I add my green beans. I have fresh green beans here. Great. So when my cassava's done, I'm going to remove it. And that's when I'm going to add my carrots that I already boiled a bit. Remember, I don't like all that yellow water it comes. So I add this at the end when I add my meatballs. And the corn also, it cooks really fast. That's it. So we're almost there. Right now when this boils and the cassava's ready, I'm going to start with putting the meatballs in. And at the end, I'm going to sprinkle some cut up cilantro. So we're looking good. Deliciousness happening here. Great, so we're almost there. So a few minutes before I take out my cassava, my yuca, which is almost done. See? It's almost done. Remember, you take out that little like bone that's in the middle of the cassava. Right there, okay? But I'll show you right now. So right now I'm going to add my carrots. Beautiful. Yum. Yeah, I'm going to let that boil a few minutes more, and then I'm taking the cassava out because it's almost ready. And then we will finish up this masterpiece. Great, so at this time, your cassava is ready. I'm going to put it in a bowl. I've also took out some of the bones just to make space because we're about to put our corn and our meatballs. So we need space. So, you know, you can always cut the ingredients by half and make the soup smaller. But, you know, this is like family style. So this is an amazing, delicious soup. It's like comfort soup. For me, it is comfort soup because it reminds me of my mom. And she got this recipe from her grandmother. And it's like been in the family. And I don't know, I remember coming home and having some of this delicious soup my mom would make. And watching her sitting down also, sometimes making the meatballs. Just all different. And it was nice. And always the soup was so delicious. I was like, wow, how can soup be this delicious, you know? So you see, I've taken out the cassava. Now with the cassava, I want to show you in the middle. Remember that little bone? We just peel it off. We don't need to break the cassava. Look, it's going to come out right here a little bit. Oh, I broke that one up. But it's right there. I'll fix it right now. You wait till it cools a little bit. So now, I put that back high. And I'm going to add my meatballs. What I'm going to do is I remove my meatballs from the refrigerator. See, they're right here. Came out about 52 meatballs for that 1 pound and 2 plantains. So, well, I'm going to add my corn. Just add my corn, and then I'm going to move it around. Add that corn. Yummy. Okay. Now we start with meatballs. We start layering them different places. You don't want just right on top of another, because they start expanding right away. So we're going to work the meatballs a little bit everywhere, see? The meatballs take about 10 to 15 minutes to cook. You know, it's beef. And you're going to boil it and cover it on like almost high, medium-high flame. And then once all your meatballs are in and they're cooked, you're going to throw on top some cut up cilantro that I have here already nicely chopped, really small. That's when your soup is ready. That's when you throw that in. So you see, you keep adding them. Keep adding them. Oh boy. So if you were patient enough to watch this whole video and patient enough to actually make this recipe, please leave a comment. I know you will love this soup. It's just amazing. It's a lot of work, but the final result, it's just worth it. It's just worth it to see my family's face so happy. I'm taking some to work. I'm saving some for my brother-in-law and my brother. And it just makes me happy that they love this. One of my great recipes. Thank you for watching. Yep, this is one of my favorite. One of my favorite soups. Oh, and you know, another thing is, not to be confused, but this is sopa de albondiga, which is a meatball soup. This is not sopa de bola, which is this main Ecuadorian soup that we have, which is a plantain ball filled with stuffing and peanut butter. It's delicious, but this is not it. So once again, esto no es sopa de bola. This is not sopa de bola. This is albondiga soup, aka meatball soup, that is filled with plantain, and it is amazing again. Yummy. So we're done. That's it. Our soup is ready. I put the yuca back in. Look at this. This is our delicious soup. Meatballs are perfect. We shut it off. Look at that. Oh, just perfect. Perfect. Perfecto. You add your cilantro you cut up. Move it one time. I love cilantro. If you don't love cilantro as much as like us Ecuadorians do, you can leave out this last step. But we just love cilantro. Okay, so you can let it sit for a minute or serve it up. But since this is YouTube, we are serving it up right away. Gonna get a little bit of everything. Yummy. And some of that corn. Want that corn. So you see? All that hard work paid off. You have this amazing soup, meatball soup. You have corn, you have your meat, you have your yuca, carrots, green beans, cilantro, and the flavor, look. Oh, heaven. Meatball soup, Celly style. Look at that. So that is the payoff, ladies and gentlemen. The most amazing meatball soup you ever get. Rich, hearty, full of flavor. We would eat this alongside some white rice, Ecuadorians, and maybe lemony onion sauce. Or you could just get a slice of lemon and just squeeze it on there. So here, let's try a little bit of this. A little bit of the meatball. See how it is when you break it inside? Look. It's totally cooked. Plantain. We'll get a little bit of that yuca together too. I want to get a little bit of everything, right? Alrighty, so let's give it a taste. Let's give it a taste. Right there. So good. The broth has so much flavor. Wow. 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 I must say. Thank you for enjoying my recipes. I hope you're patient enough to finish this. And if you did, I know you're going to agree this is the best meatball soup you ever had. Look at all this. You can always cut the ingredients in half, make less soup. Look at these meatballs. Oh my gosh. They're just so good. So good. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me. And please keep watching. Keep watching my videos. Subscribe to me. I love it. Send me any messages if you need any help. And I love you guys. Thank you. Take care. Bye.